Hi, my name is Dylan Butler, and I am going to be giving a presentation on the artist Rosa Bonheur. Rosa Bonheur was the oldest of 4 children. She was born to an idealist artist father named Oscar Raymond and to a patient piano teacher named Sophia. She would grow up with her sibling, and they would actually all become artists. Her mother would unfortunately pass away at the age of 36 due to the chlamydia epidemic that they had in Paris. After her mother passed away, she would be sent off to a boarding school where she would actually end up failing because the teachers would think that she was too much of a tomboy than what she should have been for the girls in that class. Her father would actually then begin teaching her at the age of 13 her own art schools. So she would start out with pencil drawing of plaster casts, engravings, and different still life objects. As this went on, she would also begin to get more experience. One day her father would actually send her out into the woods to study the nature out there. She would find cherries, which would actually lead her to start painting. So what she would actually study when she went out there, she was studying the landscape, the animals, and the birds that were all around her. The first painting we're going to look at is Plowing in the Neverland that was created in 1849. It's an oil on canvas painting, and the art story tells us that it's the focus on the land, the animals, and the landscape that tells a respectful story of a timeless pheasant life, work, and tradition. So this painting not only shows the nature around, but it also shows the life that the pheasant had back then. Now you can see, you get the texture of the soil helps bring the painting to life because it kind of shows what the farmer is doing out in the field, while also kind of making it look like you're standing right there watching them plow the field. Another thing are the different lines that are on the oxen throughout their horns, and you can see it kind of in their fur. That also helps bring the picture to life. But then another thing I noticed when I first started looking at this was just the background of the mountains, the different trees, and the hills. That is the common place where most farmers will sit and plow ground. And another thing that I thought was unique was you got the different people out here working. It shows that the different color shirts help show where the gentlemen are working and with the oxen, but also the different detail you can see like in their faces sorta, and you can kind of tell they have their own different characteristics and kind of dress differently. So this is the more enlarged picture you can kind of see in it. Another thing I noticed is the plow that's in the ground. You can see the detail of the plow, of how it's shaped and how they actually look that way. So if you were there in real life, you could see. The next one I chose was the horse fair. So the horse fair was created in 1855. It is an oil on canvas painting, and it's actually one of the biggest paintings that she ever done. It's 8 by 16, which was a very large painting for back in the day. It is told by the South Carolina ET Commission that it depicts a horse sale that women were generally not permitted to attend. So, since the women were able to attend, Rosa actually had to dress like a man and sneak in to the auction. That way she could be able to see what the picture was like and see what the scene was inside, would help her bring this picture to life. So, some of the things that I noticed on this painting with the different details. So, for example, the different color horses, they will tell you that there's different breeds of horses at this horse fair. Another thing are like the different details. So, like this horse right here, you can kind of see that has the darkness on his tail, but it's all white. Well, that kind of helps you see what that horse had its own unique features Another thing I noticed was you can kind of see the lines of the hair and just the tails of the horses. It helps bring it to life and make it look like a real horse that you were standing right in front of. Another thing is she put a lot of detail into the faces of the men that were standing in the picture that you can see. You're able to tell, like this one gentleman had the beard, had the brown beard, and the other gentleman had a mustache with a hat. And you can also see the different way she dressed them, which helps bring the picture to life and also show what this scene looked like back in 1855 when this was created. Another thing is the line that you see of the trees. The trees are brought to life by the different lines here to show off the different branches. They go the opposite directions. So here's a more enlarged picture. As you can see here, you can see all the horses running around. There's some people up here on the hill. There's a church, like a church in the background. One horse is fighting against the men that are there that may have just bought them. The picture is just full of detail in the life, and that's what really draws me to actually present it, because you don't see this much detail in a painting like you may see in other ones. This picture just shows so much detail, it brings it to life. The next one I chose was Weaning the Calves, that was created in 1879. This is also an oil on canvas painting, but the thing is I like the most about this one, and also when I was studying it, was it kind of shows how they wean calves back in the 1879. They would put a barrier up in between the cows and the calves. That way the mother would still be able to reach their calves, but also they would also be more encouraged to get their own food and water instead of relying on their mother. This was an effective way for the farmers, and it was actually a lot safer and easier because they could keep watch in their own corral, but keep the mother where they could see their calves. So some of the things I noticed with the texture of the mountains in the background, you can kind of see like the little rocks that are there, and even the rocks that are all around, like this little cave right here, the little stand, and you can see they use the rocks right here with the log that's laying across there to kind of show that there's a gate right there, and that's what's keeping the calves back. And you can see here the mother is right there where she can still see her calves and watch to make sure they're not getting harmed by any means, but also to allow the calves to be weaned off their mother. So the picture comes to life just because of the detail, but like even the calves, the little lines of hair you can see and the way the calves look, they feel like they're right in front of you and you're able to reach out and pet them, which I think is a unique thing that she was able to do with her paintings. Another thing is you can kind of see the different logs. She's got trees in the background a little bit here and there, but also just a different color of this. She got multiple different colors mixed in between the grass and the dirt, the rocks, the sand. You can even kind of see a little bit of snow in the background of the mountains that are there. So here's the picture that's been enlarged a little bit that you can see. You can see what I pointed out earlier, and you can also see there's some more cows right here in the background that are kind of watching over, that, you know, maybe a part of the herd but didn't have calves, but they are still there. This is also another thing that I think brings it to life. But then you can see they're standing on the rocks in the different hills of the picture. And then I noticed this was like down here in the corner, the little tree branch that's laying there that kind of looks like it was knocked off by the wind or something, possibly. So her contribution to the art world is actually pretty significant, because she was known as a feminist back in the day for her time. Back then that was actually really unacceptable, but it is told by Alex Patterson that she was hailed as a feminist. Their international success helped to pave the way for women artists across the world to take up work as respected professionals. And her work was one of the most respected in the French community in Paris, which helped pave the way for many other women to have art. She's the first woman to receive the League of Honor that in that time was very prestige, and most of the time men was the only one that would receive it. Another thing was when she also defined the gender norms. When she took and was living, she actually required a special permit so that she'd be able to wear men's clothing, because that was totally unacceptable back in the day, that when the women had to normally wear dresses. It also allowed her to be more suited for her work, because she was able to go out into the woods, the landscape of the fields, and go out there without having to worry about a dress getting caught. And it allowed her to get these beautiful paintings that she was able to make and present to the world that we can now see and are timeless to this day. Thank you.